Hello everyone. Ladybug is currently working on a condensed version of the video that I did last night where I presented some of the new evidence that is going to be used, likely is going to be used in the trial, in the trial against Donna Adelson. Now, I've had an opportunity to now review more carefully the two more important documents that I got, which are the two Cellbrite reports from Donna's phone. And I'm actually going to do a new live, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow night, but it's going to be at night, late at night, maybe like around 11 o'clock, 11:30 p.m., where I'm going to go through those two reports more carefully, in more detail, where I'm going to give you some analysis as well. Yesterday I was sort of just reading through the pieces of information that I found interesting. But I'm going to do a little bit of an analysis right now on a couple of text messages that I found very important and quite interesting. So to give you a context, the first message is from Donna Adelson to Wendy, and it is dated 11/6/2023. Gee, kitty, come on. At 5:31 p.m. This was about 20 minutes after the verdict was read and the court adjourned, and Charles Adelson, her son, Donna's son, was found guilty in the murder of FSC law professor Dan Markel. So the text message from Donna to Wendy says, "Your brother protected you for years. Now you're not guilty. Your lawyer took very good care of you. You can bury me in the dress that I bought for Lincoln's bar mitzvah." Context: she's reacting to the conviction of her son, Donna is. And we know that during the trial, Wendy Adelson testified several times, and in a sense, from our observation of the closing arguments in the trial, plus all the jail calls that followed in the days after, there was a big sentiment that the testimony of Wendy, or the things that Wendy did around the time of the murder, did play a big role in helping convict Charles Adelson. And of course, during the trial, Wendy proclaimed, as she does in every trial, that she's not guilty, that she's not involved in this murder. So that gives you a little context. And so when you read this message again, it says, your brother protected you for years. Now you, Wendy, are not guilty. Your lawyer took very good care of you. You can bury me in the dress that I bought for Lincoln's bar mitzvah. Now, we as lawyers, prosecutors, defense attorneys, we have evidence that we get in our hands. And once we get that piece of evidence, we do not know exactly what was meant by the specific words being used. So the prosecutor, somebody may say, will try to spin it one way, but the fact is that we do not know what it means, and we can have some interpretations of this, give it some context, and look at it in a way that shows Donna as being guilty, shows Donna as being involved, shows Wendy potentially as being involved. But there's also another side, right? You can also look at this from a defense perspective, and you can try to argue that this message kind of supports the conclusion that Donna, for example, is not involved, and she doesn't know whether Wendy was or wasn't involved. So let me read the second message in this grouping, and then I'll give you a little bit of analysis. So that was the first message. The second message is a response from Wendy to Donna the next morning. And it says, "Dear Mom, I know you're upset about the verdict." Let me correct that. "Dear Mom, I know you are upset by the verdict, but the anger directed at me is not justified. I am not responsible in any way for Charlie's situation. I am not guilty because I didn't do anything wrong, and I was not involved in any way with Danny's death. When I was interviewed by the police and testified in court, I told the truth as I was required to do. I cannot control how the prosecutor used my statements at Charlie's trial. Also, as you know, my lawyer had advised me not to talk to my family or anyone else about this case. I followed his advice despite your disagreement with his guidance. Please do not text me about this case anymore. If you have anything further to say about the case, please go through our lawyers. Right now, I have to be singularly focused on taking care of the boys during this difficult time. Now, of course, this is a smart text. Wendy is a lawyer. She knows this is all being put in writing, and so her statement is very hard to interpret in any other way other than her saying that she's not involved, right? And that she's following her lawyer's advice. Donna's statement is one of those statements that you heard here, Donna complaining how the prosecutor is using statements maybe Wendy made, and even Charlie, right, in the closing argument, because an attorney tries to, the attorneys don't know, the defense attorney or the prosecutor don't know exactly what was meant. The only people that really know, especially with regards to a statement, is the person who made the statement. But they will never tell you the truth if it is something that proves that they're guilty or that proves that someone they love is guilty. So lawyers have to not play with the evidence, they have to try to work with other evidence, put a grouping of evidence together, give a context, and give a reasonable interpretation that the jury will accept as the truth. And there are many ways to do that. I'll discuss that in a little bit, right? So if we go back now to Donna's statement, let's put it at defense spin, right? A defense perspective analysis. The statement says, your brother protected you for years. Now you're not guilty. Your lawyer took very good care of you. You can bury me in the dress that I bought for Bar Lincoln's bar mitzvah. This could be interpreted as a mom who's, of course, the cat is trying to fight the tripod. So this could be interpreted, or at least the defense attorney was going to try to argue to the jury what this proves is that Donna is not involved, that Donna doesn't really know exactly what's going on, that she's trying to figure this out, that she believes or suspects that Charlie was protecting Wendy, that maybe Wendy did it herself, or that maybe Charlie and Wendy did it together, but he was protecting her, not disclosing the fact that she was also a participant, right? That's the spin that the defense attorney would try to give to this statement. And we'll try to find other statements that she may have made that will corroborate this interpretation of that statement, right? So unless a truthful and almost irrelevant interpretation could be that when it says your brother protected you for years, it could be just that they had this very long relationship, right? As middle brother but older than Wendy, and he always protected her, let's say. So that's another way that you may try to, the prosecutor, for example, may want to avoid that argument from the defense, right? The argument from the defense would be, oh, that only means, it doesn't mean that he protected Wendy by lying or by not disclosing the fact that she was involved in the murder. It just means that in general, he has been protective of Wendy, right? That would be a counter argument from a defense perspective, right? Well, the way that the prosecutor then tries to defeat that is the prosecutor anticipates potential arguments that the defense may make about it. So, for example, they will take the deposition or will take the testimony of Donna or of Charlie, whoever they can depose or whoever is testifying at trial, and they're going to say, hey, so tell us about your relationship with Wendy. Were you always very protective, or were you the type of guy that was too busy with your own life, with your own success, with all your ladies and girlfriends, whatever, and you were more like bachelor, having a good life, and you really didn't care that much about your sister, right? So you try to develop evidence to support that other interpretation, right? That where he wasn't that involved with his sister, so that now the statement, which is made right after Charlie's convicted, looks more like, oh, Charlie has been protecting her for years, but only recently and only with respect to the verdict that just happened with respect to the case that just went to trial, which is about the murder of her ex-husband, right? The prosecutor, of course, is going to try to argue that this, when it says your brother protected you for years, is Donna knows the full truth, knows that Wendy had some involvement, for example, and knows that her son is playing the role of savior. He's saving her, and that she doesn't care. And the prosecution interpretation would be, look, I know that my son, Donna is speaking, right? Donna is devoted to her son. She's caring about her son. She's in tears and crying and upset about the fact that he got convicted while her son was protecting her, Donna. Yet here's another person that is being protected, Wendy. Yet she doesn't give a damn. She's not caring about the fact that Charlie just got convicted, right? So basically, the bottom line is that the prosecutor, certainly the prosecutor who doesn't even get to talk to the people who wrote this, right? They don't get to talk to Donna and say, hey, listen, what do you mean by this, right? The defense has Donna's version and explanations for what she wrote, and they can try to build a case to make that interpretation that the jury will accept, the interpretation that shows her to be innocent. Even if the defendant, even if Donna were lying to her attorney, or trying to spin it herself in a way that makes her look not guilty, at least the defense attorney has her statements and can try to build evidence around this statement to try to support an interpretation that is innocent. The prosecution doesn't have the luxury of talking to Donna, but they look at all the evidence, and look at the context, they look at the fact that this happened just after the conviction of Charles Adelson. They look at the fact that Charles Adelson testified for a couple of days and basically didn't say or anything that would implicate Wendy in this murder. They look at the whole context, Wendy testifying, all of that, and they're going to say, well, listen, obviously the only reasonable interpretation that any jury can give to this statement is that Donna knows, because she's involved, that Charlie has been protecting Wendy, who's also, even if in a more minor role, involved. So Donna knows that Charlie is protecting her, yet now she's mad that her daughter, who was the primary beneficiary in a sense of the murder, maybe Donna was the primary because she really wanted those kids in Miami and her daughter in Miami, but the secondary beneficiary would have been Wendy, let's say. So Wendy is basically denying any involvement, will never be charged, and her own testimony has been used against Charlie. And not only all of that, but on top of that, she doesn't give a damn. So I'm getting rained out of here. The bottom line is that prosecutors will try to use this statement to show Donna was involved and maybe Wendy was involved. The defense is going to try to argue that there's a much more innocent interpretation to this, just a very upset mom who really doesn't know what's going on because she wasn't involved, and now she's upset that her daughter doesn't care for her son. Anyway, thanks for watching. Watch the condensed version from Ladybug, which maybe will be a part of this video or maybe will be separate. And then also please watch me on my next live, where I'm going to go through the 88 or so items from the cell phone that the investigators picked as evidence, that the investigators picked to have evidentiary value in the case. I'll see you there next time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Mental Lawyer. All right, kitty. Oh, she left now because of the rain.